a treasure chest. I wonder what's inside.
Hello, and welcome back to the Masters Mod. Last episode, we got the whole party, and now we have a long road ahead to use them. No bosses today, but we have to get through. I mean, the random encounters are kind of tougher than most of the bosses in this case. It's a long road ahead. But first, we do get a situational enemy type in these chests now. If you saw the intro, they always do their 1000 damage, but the main thing about them is them constantly healing 1000 damage, and then also sometimes throwing remedies, but they're not very common, so just remember for when they do pop up again. And now that we've made it to Guadalajara, we have a good amount of chests we can pick up, but then we also have customization. So now we have access to customizing our own elements on all of our weapons, and also some poison, blind, and silence touch, if we so desire. But the most impactful one for me right now is putting slow on Kimahri's weapon. Now, we got these speed distillers, and we can only use it once, so I'm going to use it on Kimahri because him and Titus are really the only consistent melee attackers that I have on the front line.
Please don't make it rumble.
But before that, we gotta get through both the Thunder Plains and Macarena without really any level ups. So what we have is what we have. Now the imps make a comeback, and they're annoying in a different way now. Instead of draining MP, which is really bad on this long stretch, they drain HP. So now they just refuse to die. It doesn't help that basically nothing can one-shot them. And a lot of the damage that you do throw at them, they can heal back basically the entire thing. So unless you use a Sleep Buster turn 1, and don't let them retaliate, and then take them out with magic, you use Riku's items because she does more damage than they can heal up, and then after that you can finish them off with a spell or something. Or you just have an overdrive saved up and say, no, I don't want to deal with that. The floating eyes also make a return, but they are also still undead. So, you have two ways that we can deal with them. You have Wakka's Alchemy Ball plus High Potion for an offensive heal, that's always fun. And you can also do a revive with either Phoenix Down or with Yuna. The elementals are still super dangerous, but luckily now I can basically use Kimahri's silence shield and his new slow weapon, and I kind of just smack them with Kimahri a whole bunch, hoping that he'll get the status ailments on them. As if you put Tactician on him, then that'll also charge up his overdrive a lot, so that's good, have that in the pocket. And then also, if you silence the elementals, then you really don't have to worry about them for a good amount of time. Even though his damage has fallen off a lot, I do plan on having him go down Titus's route, so he's going to be the quick hitter. Now that Titus's Brotherhood has the half MP, so I kind of want him to use a lot more of the spells, like the hastes, while Kimahri focuses more on damage, when he does have his damage. So yeah, you might just see me randomly smack something with Kimahri or Riku, and you could be like, hey, why do they don't do any damage? What's going on there? With that, I'm just hoping for a status proc, whether it's poison on Riku or slow on Kimahri, or maybe sometimes silence too.
Let's just get out of here.
Now, another new enemy is these larvae. They're coded basically how the flans are in this mod, except they're a little bit stronger than the last flans were. They counter everything with thunder, and that includes themselves. So they will heal after they focus, and that's just really annoying, especially when you have two of them on the same field. Not only that, but really everything in the Thunder Plains heals the thunder, go figure. So if anything throws out a buff, then they'll heal that in exchange. So it's a tough combo. Now there's two ways to mitigate things that counter everything. You can give them a status that makes it so that they either miss or can't cast a spell. Or you can threaten with Orin. In this case too, poison works pretty good on them. They can out-heal the poison. And now we have some other returning customers of the lizards and drakes. Now, just like before, the lizards are always super dangerous because they will either knock out or like put one of your party to sleep, and then that kind of snowballs into a squad wipe. But the drakes now come with innate guard, so unless if you hit them with magic, which you know they're kind of resistant to, it's not that great of a situation. But there are a couple things that you can do. You can threaten with Orin, which will lock down all of their reactions. And then you can also use Riku, because her items, even though they are elemental, they can't be blocked, and they're fast. And in addition to that, they kind of do a set amount of damage. Really, it doesn't matter really how tanky they are magically. As long as they don't have like shell or anything like that, enemies usually take around the same damage for all of the attacking items. Don't forget to pick up all the things along the way, and then once we get to the halfway point, I am actually going to buy and modify a sword for Orin, because all that he has right now is ice and lightning. So we want him to have access to a lot of different elements, because he doesn't get too many attacks, so we want them to count. Really, the name for these random encounters now is priorities. So it's like, okay, which enemies do you prioritize taking down first? And then also you have to think, alright, a lot of these guys are starting to get counters now. So when do I prioritize just trying to survive and then take them out next turn, instead of just going for damage and falling short and ending up not so happy? Now, once we pass the midway point of the Thunder Plains, we start getting hit with the Iron Giants. Now, as the description on top says, they hit very hard. But you're like, oh, okay, that's no big deal, I'll just blind them. Now, this is a very good strategy to blind them, but also power break them, because after 3 attacks, they'll do their Reaper, which will hit everybody, and it doesn't miss even when they're blind. Yeah, you gotta keep that in mind, keep count of the turn, say, okay, this is gonna be the big party sweep. Have to make sure he's either power broken, threatened so that he stops, or just blitz down with damage. The Iron Giant with the double eye is pretty intimidating if you can't actually get a good amount of turns on there. So you might actually notice that I always start the fight with Titus, Riku, and Yuna in the front line. That way, Titus always gets his first strike with the Brotherhood, but then the girls are able to switch out into something that is more appropriate. So like that way we can get Kamari or Waka to shut something down if they really need to. Or if we're in a really bad spot, then we can have Titus switch out on the very first turn and nuke something with an overdrive. Whether that's like a Kamari Stone Breath, or just an Orange Shooting Star. Now you might say, hey, but what about Waka's Overdrive? You get like blindness, silence, and sleep. That should be really good. And you're right, because that does affect all the enemies on the field. So even if they're immune to something, then they'll probably, be put to sleep, and at least you won't have to worry about them for a little bit. Only thing is it's a bit of a skill issue. I am horrible at the Waka Overdrive, so yeah, I really don't use them. If I try and fail at that, then I just get in a worse spot. So I just focus on things I can do more reliably. And then, like I hinted at earlier, there is a double larva fight. So, I mean, really with this, if you can keep them silenced, and that's great. If you can use slow on one or two of them, blitz one of them down, that way they won't heal each other all the time. Maybe a magic break too. But yeah, I mean, this one's definitely about attrition. You really need to blitz them down or just make sure that they can't keep healing themselves. Luckily, once you get into the woods, they tone down a little bit, so it's a good little breather. You get your classic setups. Most of the encounters really only have one threat that you need to really worry about, and another one that you just kind of have to put on the back burner. Just remember the elements now that we have access to putting whatever customizing things on the weapons. Yeah, you can use that to really save up the MP. Because Waka still doesn't have really anything, but at least you still have Tamari's MP pool to blind a lot of things. Then there's this Zyphos guy. Now, just like the very first boss of the mod, when he hits you, he gives you a lot of statuses. And on top of that, he counters everything. So, what you gotta do is you definitely have to make sure that he stays in darkness. So, luckily, we do have quite a few ways of keeping things in darkness, so do that. But if you can't, Ornn has a pretty big MP pool, so use him to threaten something.
You're wasting our time.
Now, the last enemy to note are these Chimera. Now, really with these ones, it's kind of tough using my normal strategies. Because really with them, you're really gonna get hit no matter what. You just have to kind of mitigate that damage. So just make sure that you have your people have enough HP. You can magic break him and power break him or blind him. But I mean, he just has so many tools that you're gonna get hit. Again, don't be afraid to use your overdrives or anything that could help you survive. But that's gonna be it for today. So, again, not too much excitement, but the next episode's gonna be a pretty interesting boss rush. So I hope that you stay tuned. We still got a lot of game ahead of us. Now again, if you like the video, I like your face. Bye bye.